G'day, I'm Jedynak, but don't worry, we can still be friends. I help foot fixers put more tools in their toolkit so they can take their skills and expertise to the next level. It's all about confidently employing tried and tested best practice protocols to get the clinical outcomes your patients, your clients demand of you. Ain't that right, George? Good to see you. Nice to have you back in the house. Look, I've been a health practitioner in private practice for over 30 years. As a business owner and operator, I've established multiple centres and mentored hundreds of practitioners in business. I've also had the great privilege of training foot fixers globally for over 22 years. Not too shabby for 83, huh? Hey, while you were probably still in nappies or maybe diapers if you're in the US, I was laughing at the idea that acupuncture could have a role in modern medical practice. How times have changed. Now there's Facebook, and here we are reaching out to the global community of foot fixers. So if you're a physio, podiatrist, that's for you, Simon, chiro, osteopath or physical therapist, then welcome, you're in the right place. In fact, you've made the right decision to be here in the show today because you're going to discover strategies that I wish I'd known about much earlier in my career. So thanks for joining me live on this very, very special edition of Triple T TV. Please stay tuned, George, especially you, because we've got a never-to-be-repeated offer at the end of the show that's exclusively for you, our Facebook viewers, coming from Red Ted. Thank you, George. Nice. I think there's a bumper sticker in the making with that. Today's show, it could save you a huge amount of time, energy. Yeah, you're going to love it. It could even transform how you assess and treat your clients. On today's exclusive Triple T TV show, we're going to discuss Cuboids. Yes, Cuboids. Do you love Cuboids? If you love Cuboids, please let me know with a yes in the comment box below. And by the way, let me know where you're from as well. I love hearing from foot fixers all around the world. Maybe if you love hearts, the Cuboids could do with a bit of love from time to time, given that they're the source of so much frustration for so many of us. Speaking of being around the world, just yesterday I received a request to lecture next year in Northern Ireland. So excited by the invitation. Thank you, Alan. Nice to meet you. Hey, big cheerio to my Northern Ireland mates and colleagues, and also those from the UK. Welcome to this Triple T show. I'd better say hello to people from Ireland as well, because there's plenty of those. Isn't there, Justy, Mary? So, look, wherever I'm in the world, I always get asked so many questions about cuboids and how to fix them. It is a really hot topic, and we're going to dive deeply into it today. Now, on my YouTube channel, yes, you can find me on YouTube. You can find me just about everywhere. The most viewed video, last count was in excess of 85,000 views, was of a demonstration that I gave way back in 2006 of 3 cuboid manipulation techniques. I mean, it just proves that dedicated health practitioners all around the world are searching for the best tools in their toolkit to get cuboid pains resolved as quickly and efficiently as possible. And that's why I'm here today to talk to you about the game-changing assessments and treatments that made curing cuboids easier than I ever thought possible. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Cuboids can be tricky to cure. I should know, in the early years of my career, I found them tricky to fix because there were so many pieces of the treatment puzzle missing from my education. As good as some universities were, we just didn't get all the skills that we needed. Now, when I left university, probably before you were born, I thought orthotics will fix everything as far as MSK conditions of the foot and leg go. Well, orthotics were the only tool in my toolkit, so I hoped that they fixed everything. Of course, in the real world, at the coalface of the clinic, orthotics don't fix everything. And that's why it's so important to develop your skills and expertise so you can get the clinical outcomes that your patients, your clients, pay you to deliver. If you're a practitioner who only uses orthotics in your clinic and if you're not interested in developing your skill set, then today's show is not for you. However, if you're a practitioner who is open to new and different strategies, this show is definitely for you. Okay, today's topic is the 5 big balls ups that I've made when treating cuboids and how you can avoid making the same mistake. So, have pen and paper ready, or if you're a digital bunny, then Evernote or your digital app. There are going to be some belly button popping moments coming your way. Yes, today I'm going to confess my biggest mistakes what I did when it came to treating cuboids. If I had $1 for every mistake I'd made in my career, I'd be rich, I can tell you. Look, I've had clients who haven't responded at all to my attempts to fix their cuboid-related pains. I've had clients who, in fact, even got worse. And then there were those clients who kind of got better, but not best. It can be so frustrating when your treatment doesn't get the problem fully resolved. To be honest with you, I'm pretty nervous about today. In fact, the idea of the red might have been that when I get embarrassed, it doesn't become so obvious. So, you see, revealing mistakes and failures is not something I particularly enjoy talking about. I'd rather sit here and tell you about the successes and the good times. But what I'd noticed during my long career as a practitioner was that it was the mistakes, the failures, the frustrations that have actually been the most fruitful in terms of learnings. As a dedicated health practitioner, failure can drive you to find out more, increase your skill levels, seek out strategies that will get you the outcomes that your clients demand of you at the coalface of your clinic. And don't you find that when you know better, you do better? I certainly found that to be the case. I've had some massive holes in my education when it came to fixing cuboids. And when it came to filling in those missing pieces, the road wasn't always that easy, because this is back in the day before the interweb. So, thank you for being here today as I openly talk about some pretty embarrassing moments in my career when it came to treating cuboids. Lauren, great to have you here. Hope you'll give me some supporting assistance. And George, I know you're going to take the piss out of me. So anyway, we'll see how we go. Hey, I'm also going to talk about the crucial discoveries I made along the way that were totally game-changing in terms of the clinical outcomes, not just for me, but also for my students all around the world. You'll leave today's show with at least 5 highly effective strategies that can improve your clinical outcomes with cuboid cases. I'm going to reveal the mistakes that I made in my career with cuboids so that you can learn from them without having to go through the pain, the anguish, and sometimes the awkward moments that I did. Please stay tuned too, because we've got a never-to-be-repeated offer at the end of this show that's exclusively for you, our Facebook viewers. It's going to save you a huge amount of time and energy. It could even transform how you assess and treat your clients. If this Triple C show doesn't fast-track your mastery of cuboid cases, I'll walk to China. Geez, I might have to get started now. No, I'm positive, absolutely convinced this is going to help you. So, just in case if you've just joined us, I'm Ted Jedynak, and today's show is for health practitioners who want to nail the best practice protocols when it comes to fixing cuboids. Okay, let's dive into blunder number 1. I wish this was vodka or gin. Okay, I'm a bit embarrassed to say this, but when I was in my university course, I failed my first anatomy exam. You see, one of the questions was about the cuboid, and I had the cuboid on the medial side of the foot. Oh dear, it's pretty bad, right? Of course, I've since realised that the cuboid is actually on the lateral side of the foot. Now, I'm sure you've never made that mistake, but that's where I was at when I started. So, let me ask you, if you were blindfolded, would you be absolutely confident that you could locate and palpate the cuboid on a living person, not just a foot skeleton? Would you be absolutely sure that you've isolated the cuboid from any other neighbouring bones? Having trained foot fixers for over 22 years in the art and science of foot mobilisation, one of the hurdles practitioners often struggle with is accurately finding the cuboid. They think they know where it is. I can tell you, they don't. If you can't find the cuboid accurately, how the heck are you supposed to assess and treat it? I mean, how are you supposed to know exactly where to put a cuboid pad? If you're incorporating cuboid notch therapy with your orthotic therapy, you better make sure you got it in the right place. How are you supposed to give accurate directions to a client when it comes to exercises? You see, most practitioners haven't been taught properly, if at all, how to accurately find the cuboid. As it so happens, finding the cuboid can be quite tricky. I mean, when we look dorsally, we've got this smooth line of bone structures. There are no obvious peaks or landmarks that we can use to accurately identify it. We've got the extensor digitorum brevis muscle sitting on top, so that then disguises what's going on from the dorsal perspective. Then when we go plantarly, remember we got those 4 layers of muscles, tissues, ligaments, and all those good guys under there. The cuboid is actually, the plantar surface is quite deep. So to find it, you have to kind of feel and navigate your way in between all these tough, fibrous and strong tissues that are weight-bearing, designed to support the body weight. So how can we be accurate with our surface anatomy so we can assess and treat the cuboid with confidence? Well, we're going to use other landmarks that are readily available and easy to find. The first one is the styloid process. Then the second one is the weight-bearing skin on the base of the heel. And what I mean by that is where the weight-bearing skin runs and ends, and then the non-weight-bearing skin begins. These are important reference points that we can use that will absolutely help us nail where the cuboid is. I mean, it's really interesting to note, when I slide my fingers across, my index finger on the cuboid right now, notice how far medial it is. Like, it's right in the middle of the foot. If you've got a skeleton handy, like, grab hold of it and just have a look at the cuboid and where it's positioned. Yes, it's in the lateral beam, but surface anatomy and reality-wise, it's actually quite close to the medial side. I mean, the midline of the foot. So, these are the key landmarks: styloid process, and the weight-bearing skin borders, I suppose we could call them. They're the key landmarks for getting your fingers and surface anatomy right. Okay, so it's all very well to accurately locate the cuboid. The next important question is, what can you discover now that you've got your fingers on it? Oh, great question. For years after graduating from university, I didn't understand much about the cuboid in terms of biomechanics. It's crucial to understand that cuboids are subjected to substantial forces. And this is because, 1, the foot's a weight-bearing structure, but 2, the pulley function. We've got the peroneus longus, which inserts into the first ray. It actually comes around and it hooks around the cuboid, and the cuboid works like a pulley, and then the muscle runs up to the lateral border of the calf. Now, when I understood this crucial biomechanical principle, it became clear that cuboids could actually be unstable, and they could actually displace from their optimum position. Now, what I mean by displace? Well, bones actually move. They're not, yes, they're held in with strong ligaments and captures, but they can move and shift from their optimum position. I mean, the classic case we see, the thing that we see in our clinics every day, the bunions, the HAVs, they will displace, and that's one example that's really quite obvious. I just have some company here who, Penny, you going to say hello? Here's Penny Lee. Let me go. Well, you started it. Okay, so now, when it comes to the cuboid, it can displace, and it does so quite commonly. The reason why it does that is, think of the classic foot type that we see, the pronated foot, where we end up with excessive pronation or pronation to the end limits of the subtalar joint and the mid-tarsal joint. We also know that mechanically, when that mid-tarsal joint pronates, it unlocks, it makes the forefoot more mobile or potentially unstable. So when the foot is unstable, it means that the peroneus longus and the pulley action of the cuboid becomes more susceptible to those extra forces. You see, when the foot, if the pronated foot and the foot's unstable, the body then gets proprioceptive messages from the mechanoreceptor saying the foot's unstable, please do something about it. The brain then sends messages to the stabilizing muscles, of which the peroneus longus is one of the important ones, and it ends up working harder. But as it starts working harder and firing longer and with more force, the foot's a bag of bones because of the unlocked mid-tarsal joint. And so the cuboid is very vulnerable to shifts and displacements. Make sense? Great. This biomechanical understanding was a huge one for me because it changed how I assessed and treated cuboid pains. And the cuboid pains that I'm calling not cuboid syndrome. And we're going to come to that in just a moment. So this was my second mistake when it came to fixing cuboids. I didn't actually know that cuboids could shift and displace from their optimum position. I thought, well, if bones displace, they would dislocate. And that's what I learned at university. Bones can either dislocate or, they stay put. But the fact is, bones can actually displace and lose their articular relationship with their adjacent articular structures. Dorland's Medical Dictionary has the term subluxation defined. It's a medical term. We know luxation is a dislocation. Sub means partial or less than. So subluxation is less than a dislocation. Now, over the years, some chiropractors have kind of bastardized the term subluxation because they're using it as a diagnostic label. And as a result, it's come in for quite some criticism. Now, whether you agree with chiropractors or not, it's about the use of that term. The concept of bones displacing is really useful to understand. It helps us to appreciate that the cuboid is a classic bone that displaces to varying degrees. So subluxation is a loss of relationship between bones at their articular surfaces. So you can have a bone that loses its relationship a little bit or quite a bit before it becomes dislocated or luxated. So that's the key thing here. There are degrees of subluxation that occur. And this is why one of the things that we have to be mindful of is that if we do get a displacement of the cuboid, what it will do is affect the massive number of articulations and soft tissue structures that are connected or related to the cuboid. A displaced cuboid will cause compensations and stresses on those structures. It cannot not. And that's why we'll see clients complaining of lateral foot pains. And think of this, your last client who complained of lateral foot pain. When you ask them, where does it hurt? What did they do? How did they respond? And often they kind of go, well, it hurts sort of around here. They tend to be vague and rather non-specific because it can be a number of these different structures or a whole lot of them that are ending up being stressed or compensated for some type of mechanical imbalance. That's one of the things that makes it terribly frustrating for dealing with cuboids. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what causes cuboids to displace? I mean, we know what happens biomechanically, but what are the activities or injuries that can cause displacement? Great question. One of the most common etiological factors that leads to cuboid displacement is an inversion sprain of the ankle. Now, this is because the lateral ankle ligaments, there's a lot of the structures that are directly related and connected to the cuboid. When they're damaged or compromised, it means the stabilizing structures of the cuboid are compromised, and therefore it's more vulnerable or prone to being displaced or subluxated from its optimum position. Does that make sense? Great. So when you're taking your client's history, it's vital that you ask if they've had an inversion sprain at any time in their lives. It doesn't matter how far back the sprain was. It's likely to have compromised the lateral ankle ligaments in some way. And this is crucial information, and it will affect how you treat cuboid pains. Did you take note of what I just said? Like literally, write it down or key it in. If you take nothing else away from today's show, remember this. When it comes to lateral foot pains, always check with your clients if they've had an inversion sprain sometime in the past. I mean, this should be part of every health practitioner's history taking. It's as important knowing whether your clients have had surgery in the past. This crucial information assists you in assessing lateral foot pains because it will give you an etiological explanation for cuboid dysfunction. And that leads me to the next question. You might be thinking, how do you know if a displaced cuboid is the cause of your client's lateral foot problem? Another great question. You see, nowhere in my university training had anyone ever shown me an effective clinical test that ascertained if the cuboid was stuck or displaced. Well, no wonder. My lecturers hadn't even considered the idea that cuboids could displace. According to them, the only thing that bones could do was dislocate or fracture. But what really surprised me is that so many practitioners are still in the dark about the crucial concept of displacement. I was lecturing at QUT, the Queensland University of Technology, back in 2014. And my considerably younger colleagues, they were fascinated that a test for cuboid displacement existed. They had no idea. Well, ain't it grand that there is this amazingly effective clinical assessment test, and you can tell if the cuboid is displaced literally within seconds. I was recently talking with a sports physio in Melbourne, Andrew Wind. Now, he works closely with the top foot and ankle orthopods in Melbourne. I mean, Melbourne is one of the sports capitals of the world. Now, in a foot mobilisation workshop, I taught Andrew the cuboid assessment test. He was thrilled. I then found out that Andrew was a physio. He'd even done postgraduate master's degree in manipulative physiotherapy as well. Anyway, Andrew went back to his clinic, and after the workshop, he was excited that he had protocols that transformed the way he assessed and treated cuboids. It was a few weeks later, I received an email from Andrew, and he was telling me how he was speaking with his local orthopods and showing them the cuboid assessment test. You know what they said? Uh-oh, how many cuboid problems have we missed without using this test? Now, unfortunately, the cuboid assessment test, it's so good and so amazingly simple that without it, most practitioners would miss crucial information. So that you don't make this mistake, I'm going to tell you at the end of the show how you can get your hands on this test. Then you too can assess stuck cuboids with ease. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss this one. Okay, so let's quickly recap. So far I've confessed how my poor anatomy understanding of the cuboid was at university. It's essential to have and know your surface anatomy. How many practitioners think they know the cuboid and they can locate it accurately? But I got to tell you, the actual fact is, not many do. I've seen this with my own eyes, having trained thousands of practitioners around the world. And then I talked about the missing pieces in my education. I didn't even know that due to the biomechanics of the cuboid and its relationship with the peroneus longus, the cuboids can displace from their optimum position. Assessing for a displaced cuboid using the cuboid assessment test, this totally transformed how I assessed and treated cuboids. But then there was another missing piece in my education about cuboids. And this has to do with the fourth big blunder that I made in my career. It's all very well to understand that a cuboid can displace, but in what direction does it displace? Think of this. If the peroneus longus is pulling around the cuboid, and that cuboid is unstable, what direction will it go? Well, what are the options? Cuboid could invert, it could evert, It could dorsiflex, it could plantar flex, it could shift in all the three dimensions. Which way do you think the cuboid would displace? If you've got an idea, type it into the comments box below. Let me know what you think. I'm not going to be too hard with you. Well, I might be with George, but otherwise I'll be gentle. Got it worked out? Typically, in the typical pronated foot pattern, where the foot collapses or a mid-tarsal joint unlocks, the cuboid most commonly, Lauren, you're spot on, it everts, meaning the plantar surface of the cuboid, if my fist is the cuboid, the plantar surface of the foot faces away from the midline of the body. So midline of the body, and it ends up facing away. But how do you tell that? Well, you need to be able to accurately palpate the cuboid, and you've got to check for restrictions and areas of resistance. Now, Jean-Philippe, the cuboid can rotate internally. A different set of biomechanical compensations occurs, and it's often seen in the supinated foot pattern. You're right there. George, I'm glad you are listening. That Barakaloa Musaka must have paid off well. Okay, so now, when you are actually using your hands to palpate and feel areas of resistance or displacement patterns and the stresses on the tissues, this does take a little bit of practice, but it's really incredibly simple to do. It should be part of every clinical assessment that you do. I'll be letting you know at the end of this video not only about the amazing cuboid assessment test, but also how to master cuboid palpation for an accurate diagnosis. And that leads me to mistake number 5. When it came to orthotic therapy, I never got taught or understood how cuboid pads were supposed to help. I mean, when it came to orthotic therapy, just as many cuboid cases that I used cuboid pads on got better as got worse. And there were people who just couldn't tolerate the pads. And that's probably because I'd stick the pad where I thought the cuboid was, but as I've just confessed, wasn't accurately where the cuboid actually was. It stands to reason that sticking a cuboid notch pad and hoping it'll work isn't the best way to get the outcomes that you really want for your clients. Olá, Manuel! Oh no, that's Olá, yes, from our Portuguese family located in Brazil. Good to have you on board, Manuel. A month or so ago, I gave a webinar to about 70 health practitioners in Western Australia. And the most common question about the cuboid was, why were cuboid notch pads making their clients worse? Well, if you don't know exactly where the cuboid is and in what direction it's displaced, then there's a high chance that the cuboid notch is going to be in the wrong place. I mean, it's pretty logical, isn't it? You see, if you get the cuboid notch in the wrong place, your orthotic therapy will most likely fail. Now, for example, if the cuboid is everted, where should the cuboid pad, the notch pad, go? Well, it should go to invert the cuboid back to its optimum position. You see, my mistake, I would stick a pad, hopefully it's on the cuboid, and hope for the best. If it didn't work, then I would, the client would come back and say, oh no, it didn't feel quite right. I'd move it and put it another. It was a bit of trial and error. Look, the key solution is to avoid this mistake by accurately diagnosing the direction and correction of the pad that you apply. Look, I'm embarrassed to say that even as a practitioner, back then when I had 15 years or so of experience, I was often a little nervous with cuboid or lateral foot conditions because the complexity of the anatomical structures would influence significantly how confident I was in diagnosing and treating the bloody thing. Anyway, No wonder the term cuboid syndrome got invented. You see, the term covers a whole range of different lateral foot pathologies, but it doesn't really help us fix the problem. I mean, cuboid syndrome, it's like metatarsalgia, which covers a plethora of things that can happen in the forefoot, or headache. That doesn't tell you what's going on. It just means, well, there's a symptom in this geographical location. It's not specific or diagnostic. So, no doubt, I had some substantial shortcomings in my clinical skill set. And that was due to these 5 big blunders that I've revealed. So, to summarize, big blunder number 1 was not being competent at cuboid surface anatomy. Blunder number 2 was not understanding that cuboids can displace. Blunder number 3 was not knowing a clinical test for displaced cuboids actually existed. Blunder number 4, it was not understanding the direction of displacement and how to assess that. Blunder number 5 is not using cuboid pads accurately. I'm going to tell you, I felt rather incompetent, inadequate, sometimes just plain useless because of these gaps in my education. My mission is now to fill those gaps that might be in your education. And that's why we've created the Ultimate Cuboid Mastery module. We're really excited about this online Cuboid Mastery module that we've put together because everything you need to accurately assess, diagnose, and treat cuboid-related conditions, it's all there. It's all online. You can access the information anytime you need to, and it's yours forever. The Ultimate Cuboid Mastery module contains detailed surface anatomy training, including the specific landmarks and the specific anatomical sites and the step-by-step guides so you can master cuboid surface anatomy with ease. You'll be crystal clear on this essential topic. In case you're concerned about your palpation skills, we've included our lesson on the critical keys to cuboid palpation. This way, you'll have everything you need to make the most of your incredibly valuable tools, your hands, and that way you can assess whether a cuboid is displaced. In the Cuboid Mastery module, you'll also receive a full lesson on cuboid displacement patterns, including the clinical signs and tests so that your assessment is accurate right from the start. I'll take you through step by step through the cuboid assessment test. And it's the same test that Andrew showed his colleagues, the orthopods, and impressed the heck out of them. You definitely need this test in your toolkit to accurately assess whether a cuboid is displaced or not. It'll make sure your diagnosis is spot on. To make your life even easier, we've also included our limited edition links for the cuboid assessment test so that you can see via video exactly how the tests work and how to avoid the classic rookie mistakes. In the Cuboid Mastery module, you'll also discover a detailed outline of the treatment objectives so you can implement the right intervention to achieve the optimum clinical outcome. You get a full demonstration of how to use cuboid notch pads most effectively to facilitate your client's recovery. This includes the rookie mistakes and the things not to do, because they're the things that could disrupt your client's progress. The positioning of cuboid pads, the positioning of golf balls in the treatment, what materials to use, the orthotic prescriptions, it's all there for you. We've got you covered. The online Ultimate Cuboid Mastery module, it includes a comprehensive step-by-step training that will take your skills to the next level. There's also a comprehensive lesson on the physiologically based soft tissue rehab process, so you can be absolutely confident of how the whole treatment plan unfolds. This means you'll have specific structured exercise plan for fixing cuboids. We've also included the exercises that have been effectively working in our clinics for over a decade. The online Ultimate Cuboid Mastery module fills in all the missing pieces of the puzzle. It's what I wish I had when I was getting undesirable outcomes in my clinic. This module would have saved me a huge amount of time, energy, blood, sweat, and tears, I can tell you. I've got to say, I'm rather proud of this whole module. And to make life easier, to make your life easier, I've included a bonus in the Cuboid Mastery module, and it's exclusively for Facebook viewers. This bonus includes the Cuboid Pains Differential Diagnosis Checklist, so that you can totally nail your diagnosis. You see, with the online Ultimate Cuboid Mastery module, you'll be able to assess, diagnose, and treat all cuboid conditions with ease. You won't be left wondering what's going on, or what do I do for this client, or will the presence of a feline body influence my treatment? I mean, seriously, you could spend hours surfing through YouTube clips and reference articles trying to figure all this stuff out. And then you'll need to work out how to incorporate everything into your clinic. Well, don't sweat it. It's all done. And everything is waiting for you in one convenient location. I mean, imagine this. You got a cuboid question, you're just one click away from finding the answer. Now, the retail fee for the online Cuboid Mastery module is $238. Now, I'm not going to charge you $238, but if I did, would it be worth being able to have a surefire clinical assessment method for cuboid cases? If all this online mastery module did was help you easily diagnose and treat every lateral foot case that came to see you, would it be worth it? If you had a totally mapped out, step-by-step guide for assessing, diagnosing and treating lateral foot pains, and you could do that confidently and with ease, what would that be worth to you? What would that be worth to you, Penny Lee? I can tell you, for me, it would be priceless. All right, so we're going to give you a very special Facebook offer. And it's an offer that will save you $171. See, someone's wanting to get in on the action. Look, I have to say that with the cuboid assessment test, with the full diagnostic and assessment processes, it literally is going to save you time, energy, and a heap of, I suppose, heartache that can happen. Now, here in Australia, we've got the end of financial year madness. And at the moment, the fact that you're still here proves to me that you want to cure cuboids quickly. So we're going to give you this very special Facebook offer. It'll save you $171, and that means you can get the whole online Ultimate Cuboid Mastery module for only $67. $67. I mean, literally, that's less than one standard consult. And the better news, once you purchase the online module, it's yours forever. You can access the module whenever you like, however many times you like. If there are any updates, they get added in automatically. It's all included. And it's there to refer to in the comfort of your own home or in your own office or clinic. All you have to do is click the link in the comments box below this video. It should be the top comment, and it'll take you straight to the sales page. To get this exclusive Facebook offer and the saving of $171, you need to enter in a special code. What that code is Cuboid FB Deal, all caps. That's the coupon. As soon as you do that, it'll reduce the price down to $67. Then you enter your details and you got full access to the whole online mastery module. That's pretty cool, let me tell you. Okay, so now you have two choices. One, you could go it alone, and if you go it alone, be prepared to waste hours of your time sifting through a lot of useless information that's out there on the interweb, and even then, it's tricky to work out what works and what doesn't, like sorting the wheat from the chaff. Or you could take a leap of faith and give it a shot with the tried and tested strategies that have not only worked for me, but also for my students all around the world. All you need to do is invest less than a single regular consult fee and check it all out. It'll take you step by step through the whole crucial best practice protocols, and they'll transform how you assess and treat cuboids and lateral foot pains in your clinic. Your clients will think you're the king or queen of cuboids. I mean, is there anything more fulfilling than turning your clients into raving fans? Look, good news is we provide a 100% money-back guarantee. If you try everything out and you can't assess, diagnose and treat more cuboids, we'll give you your money back, no worries. Crikey, all you have to do is help one extra person with cuboid pains and you've got your money's worth. I can't imagine a better deal than that. What about you, Penny? Can you imagine a better deal than that? See, it's just like a lay down was there. It's going straight past. That's a great deal. But be quick. This exclusive Facebook deal expires the end of this financial year, which is midnight this Friday, June 30th. After June 30th, the retail price of $238, that'll apply. At the end of this Facebook Live show, we'll also put the link up on the sales page, and it'll be straight above my head right up here. So if you're watching live, click the link in the comments box. If you're seeing a replay, have a look for the link that's sitting up above my head. Once the show is over, all you have to do is click that link and you'll go straight to the sales page. Enter the code Cuboid FB deal and you're golden. This is an exclusive, never to be repeated offer that expires midnight this Friday, June the 30th. So jump on this end of financial year deal and say goodbye to those frustrating cuboid cases once and for all. I really look forward to hearing about your cuboid successes, just like Andrew's in Melbourne. So take your skills to the next level by clicking the link above my head or below this video in the comments box. This exclusive Facebook deal will save you time, energy, and cash. Until next time, jump on the Ultimate Cuboids Mastery module, turn your clients into raving fans, and fix more cuboids today.